He always called me his best friend. We did everything together, dinners, movies, even trips. But every time I hinted at something more, he'd laugh it off. Don't ruin our friendship. I loved him silently for years. I supported him when he cried over other girls. I listened to his confessions, helped him with his career, and was there whenever he needed a shoulder to cry on. But when I finally learned to live without him, he couldn't handle it. His jealousy destroyed the very sacred bond of friendship he used as a shield. Now he's accusing me of betrayal, even though he was the one who betrayed first my feelings. My name is Lily, and if someone ever asked me who Alex was in my life, I wouldn't be able to answer right away. We met in our first year of college when I accidentally spilled coffee on his laptop at a cafe near campus. He laughed instead of getting angry and said, "Now we're definitely linked by karma. My tech died for your latte." From that moment, we became inseparable. We studied for exams together, walked around the city, went to the movies, split a pizza in half, and could talk until 3 in the morning about everything from music to childhood fears. Everyone was sure we were a couple. Even a professor once called me Alex's girlfriend. I smiled then, but he quickly interjected, "Oh no, we're just friends." Best friends. That "just friends" hurt like a blade every time. Because I knew for me, he was much more. When he hugged me after a tough day, I felt like I was home. But for him, it was just friendly support. I didn't dare tell him how I felt. I was afraid that if I confessed, I would lose him forever. So I stayed silent and lived in a world where he was the sun and I was the shadow that always walked beside him, but never close enough for him to notice. Time passed and our just friendship became more and more painful. He shared everything with me, plans, jokes, even small secrets. But the worst part, he shared stories about his dates. I sat there while he recounted how that girl from the journalism class has the most beautiful smile, or how the one from the cafe flirts with him every morning. I listened, smiled, and supported him, although something inside me painfully clenched. Because every time he talked about someone else, I felt like I was being erased. Ironically, he always ran to me when things went wrong. When the latest girl didn't text for 3 hours, he'd come to me with a pizza and say, "Lil, only you understand me. You're my peace." These words broke me every time. Because I understood he needed me. But not as a woman, not as a lover. But as a place he returned to after all his real stories. One evening, when he was heartbroken yet again, we were sitting in his room. He was crying. I held his hand, and at some point, he whispered, "I don't know what I would do without you." I looked at him, eyes glistening with tears, voice trembling, and it seemed like this was it now. But instead of a kiss, he fell asleep on my shoulder. The next morning, I woke up first. His head was resting on my knees, and the sunlight was falling on his face. I wanted to capture that moment forever. And perhaps that's when I realized I truly loved him. In the evening, he sent a text message, "Hey, let's forget everything from yesterday." I was emotional. I don't want things to be awkward between us. I simply wrote back, "Of course. We're friends." Then I sat in front of my phone and thought, friends, such a short word for such great pain. 2 years passed. We finished college, but our relationship remained the same, strangely warm, yet undefined. We saw each other almost every day. We went to the gym together, drank coffee before work, and celebrated friends' birthdays together. And I kept waiting. Waiting for him to finally say something, anything, that would change everything. One day, he invited me to a party celebrating his promotion. I spent hours choosing a dress, not too revealing, but not too modest either. I wanted to look in a way that he would finally see me. When I arrived, he was standing by the bar with a glass in his hand. He was wearing his favorite shirt, the one I'd given him for his last birthday. He smiled when he saw me, and I was about to walk over, but at that very second, a girl in a red dress approached him. He put his hand on her waist, leaned into her ear, and whispered something, just as he used to do to me. When I got closer, he introduced her, "Oh Lil, meet Brooke. We work together." She's special. Special. That word echoed in me like a punch. He had never called me that, although I knew him better than anyone else. Throughout the evening, I sat in a corner, watching them laugh, watching her rest her hand on his shoulder, and him never looking away. And somewhere between a glass of wine and the throbbing music, a cold, hard thought formed in my head. I will no longer be the background in his story. I quietly left the party. It was cold outside, but for the first time in a long time, I felt this cold wasn't destroying me, it was cleansing me. That night, I opened a notebook and wrote, "Tomorrow, I start living without him." And for the first time in years, I fell asleep without a "good night, friend" message. The next morning, I deleted our shared Spotify playlist. It's a small thing, but for me, it was the first step. Every song in it was a piece of our friendship, melodies we fell asleep to on FaceTime, lyrics he sent with the caption, "This is about us." Now, us no longer existed. I stopped texting him first. I didn't ask how his day was, didn't bring him coffee, and didn't rush over when he called and needed to talk. At first, he didn't notice. He probably thought I was just busy. But over time, the messages began to change. "Hey, where did you disappear to? I miss you, Lil. What's wrong? Are you mad at me?" I replied briefly, calmly. "Everything's fine. Just a lot of work." "It's okay, Alex." But inside, I felt that with each passing day, he was letting go less. The further I walked away, the harder he pulled. Once, he called at 1:30 in the morning. "You've changed. You're not the person I could be myself with anymore." I stayed silent. Because I wanted to say, "I've always been myself. Just without you now." When he tried to return everything to how it was, I no longer felt the fire that once burned. There was only a calm realization. I was tired of being a convenient friend for someone else. For the first time in a long time, I went for a walk alone, without him, without the memories, without the constant analysis of what if he were here. I watched the sunset and thought, maybe this is what freedom looks like when silence no longer hurts you. Alex, of course, didn't understand. He started taking offense, throwing out phrases. "You've been too cold lately. You used to always listen to me. What happened to you?" And the most paradoxical thing, he was offended. Offended that I stopped living around him. When you live in someone else's shadow for years, you don't even know what to do with your own light at first. It felt strange to suddenly have free evenings, an empty calendar, and no one texting, "Let's meet, I need to vent." I started filling that space with myself. I enrolled in digital design courses, started running in the mornings, and started drawing again, things I had once given up because of a lack of time for him. Every new day felt a little lighter than the last. I learned to have breakfast alone, go to the movies alone, and even laugh when TikTok showed videos about friends who were more than friends. It was then, at the courses, that I met Ethan. He was completely different, calm, attentive, with that rare type of male kindness that demands nothing in return. He didn't play guess what I'm feeling, didn't force me to be around when it was convenient for him. When I laughed, he just watched, not judging, not comparing. And it felt strange to me. Is it really like this? When you're with someone, it's easy, without pain and without waiting to be hurt? A few weeks later, we started dating. And for the first time in a long time, I felt seen. Not as a loyal friend, not as a shoulder for tears, but as a woman. My life became quiet, peaceful, and real. I no longer analyzed messages, didn't search for subtext in words, didn't live between maybe and someday. And the most interesting thing, that's when Alex started texting again. "You've completely disappeared. Remember when we used to watch movies all night? Why aren't you answering, Lil? We're friends." I didn't reply. And when one day he saw a picture of Ethan and me together, his first message was short. "Oh, you've got someone new." No emojis, no, "I'm happy for you." Just cold, prickly jealousy in a few words. I read that message and, for the first time, felt no pain, only peace. Because now it wasn't his story anymore, it was mine. A few days after that photo, Alex started texting constantly. At first, casually, as if in passing. "How's life? What's new? Haven't seen you in ages, Lil." I replied politely, briefly. but his tone quickly changed. Who is this guy? Are you serious about him? You always said you weren't ready for a relationship yet. I didn't reply immediately, and that seemed to irritate him even more. An hour later, a new message. It's weird to see you with someone. I just didn't think you would forget so quickly. Forget? I reread the words several times. Forget what? The person you were a best friend to for years? I simply put the phone face down. The next day, he called. His voice was strained, mixed with that familiar tone of ownership and offense. I'm not jealous, it's just unusual. We were always us, you know. I quietly replied, but us was only in your convenient form. In yours, not in mine. He laughed, nervously. Oh, here we go. Lil, you're taking everything too seriously. I'm just kidding. But there was no laughter in his voice. There was anger, offense, and perhaps fear that I had truly left. When I posted another photo, not provocative, just happy he liked it and wrote in private, I never thought you'd become one of those people who puts their personal life on display. I smiled. And I never thought you'd become someone who doesn't rejoice in someone else's happiness. After that, he didn't text for a week. And then again. I just miss our talks. No one understands me like you do. You know, I always valued you. But now his words sounded hollow. Because before, they were everything I wanted to hear, but now just the echo of a person I had already left in the past. Alex began to act more subtly. He stopped writing directly, stopped being openly jealous. Now it looked like concern. Just worried about you. You've changed. You don't seem like yourself. I feel like you're distancing yourself from everyone. I don't want you to end up lonely. You know I'm always here. If that Ethan of yours hurts you, I'm here. And every time I saw a new message, I wanted to either laugh or scream. Because he was the one who had made me lonely once. He was the one who taught me to be strong, while he took advantage of my strength. One evening, he called, ostensibly, just to talk. His voice was gentle, familiar, slightly tired. The way he once said, "You're the only one who understands me." We sat on the terrace of a cafe we used to go to together. He looked at me and stayed silent. Then he suddenly said, "I can't watch you with him." Maybe I, too, felt something. I just didn't realize it. I sighed. Or maybe you just didn't want to realize it until it was too late? He laughed bitterly. You think I used you? No, I replied. You just got used to me being around. Like a background that always fits. His face changed. For the first time, I saw not pity, but confusion in his eyes. He didn't know what to say. Because before, I always kept quiet. But not anymore. Lil, I don't want to lose you, he finally said. But you already lost me, I replied calmly. Back then, when you called me best friend instead of lover. I stood up, left the money for the coffee, and walked away. Not angry. Not spiteful. Just free. He texted many more times after that. Sometimes asking to meet, sometimes writing long emotional messages, sometimes sending old photos with the caption, "Remember this day?" And I did remember. But now without pain. Because I had finally learned, not everything that seems like concern is love. And not everyone who says, "I'm here," is worth keeping around. I stopped replying. No, how are you? No meetings for coffee. Just silence. Alex continued to text, short phrases, sometimes joking, sometimes desperate. Did you forget me? I miss you. I just wanted everything to be like it was before. But before no longer existed. I deleted his number, archived our photos, and stopped checking his page. My world became lighter without the constant anticipation. The irony is that he started looking for me more often than when I was right there. I learned to live without him, and that, perhaps, is the greatest revenge. Because now I am not angry, not broken, I am peaceful. And he is in the past, which I no longer want to recall. A few months passed. One evening, he texted, I was an idiot. You were always more than a friend. I messed everything up. I stared at the message for a long time. I once dreamed of hearing those words. Now, they meant nothing. You didn't mess anything up, Alex, I replied. You just called me the wrong name. I wasn't a friend, but a convenient silence. And I don't want to be that anymore. He saw it, but didn't reply. And for the first time, I didn't care.